Hey guys, Jeff and MACkite.
And Ryan.
And we're excited today to share with you a product from F1, their crossover. Rocket wing board. It's becoming a shop favorite, and we're going to kind of dive into this board. Fits in the midi shape range, but it kind of breaks the mold a little bit, and we're going to dive into all those details here in a little bit. But I've had time riding on this and a lot of different conditions. Ryan, have you too have had some time, right?
Yeah, got a few sessions on it now. I'm really liking it.
Yeah, it's a great board. You know, the F1 boards, in particular, they've had the Rocket name in their lineup. They had the Rocket S wing, which was one of my favorite boards a couple years ago. And what they've done here, you know, if we put this in perspective, this board is not a traditional shape, but it's moving into the midi sizes, but it's a little bit more generous in width than some of the other in the range.
A little more stable.
In the midi, and not quite as long. So that's something that where this board kind of distinguishes itself a little bit from some of the other midis that are slightly narrower and longer in shape.
Exactly. So advantage there is you get a more stable platform, a little more performance in the waves, in the swell, but you're going to lose just a little bit on the low end of getting up when it's really light. So
for sure. And we've kind of dived right into the schematics of this board and the shape. This is one we've been riding the most here. Is a 74 liter. That's the demo that we pulled.
Yep.
And this board is at 5'4" by 21.7 wide. And so that kind of puts some perspective. If you've been doing some looking around at some of the other midi boards that are on the market, it's generally maybe about an inch or a half inch or wider than I wouldn't say traditional trending where midi boards are trending, and a little bit 2 to 3 inches shorter than some of the other midis. Where I see the benefit for this board is ideal for the customer that is just coming off their beginner board and they're looking at getting a one board quiver for just about everything.
Especially in some of those larger sizes.
Yep.
Because there's some trade-offs trying to go to your second board in that 80, 90, little bit larger size in a longer, skinnier midi. This definitely fits the bill for easy to use, efficient board. Big
time. That's something that kind of, when I first got on this board, extremely stable, real easy to get up on and ride. And once riding, you know, I was in the waves, I found this board to be closer to what I would ride really powered up, maybe in a smaller, shorter board. For that midi range, I think this board is going to excel in waves, and it does, based on my experience, because it isn't quite as long.
Yep.
It does perform and feel very surfy when riding it, and so that's where I think this Rocket, and again, I love the word crossover. They're kind of crossing over into that longer shape, a little narrower, but they didn't go quite as narrow. And I think, you know, the customer, again, that is just coming off their beginner board could easily ride this board and find that, you know, you don't have to be afraid by going down in liters and going to the shape.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a little bit in between that chicken nugget and the longer, skinnier midis that we're seeing. So not quite a really skinny, really long midi. It's definitely on the wider, shorter end of that range.
All right, as we covered the dimensions of this board and its stability, there is a trade-off. What do you see as a trade-off as you've been riding this board, Ryan, because of its added width?
Yeah, so to make a board this size, this a little bit wider, a little bit shorter, to get the volume that it has, you got to go a little bit thicker. So it is a little bit thicker than some of the other boards that we've been riding. I think with it being a little bit shorter, it balances itself out a little bit, but it is a little thicker. It is nice to have thin boards, put your feet closer to your plate of your foil. So that would be, I would say, really the only trade-off that I've seen in riding it is it's just a little thick. But again, you got to put that volume somewhere.
You do, and I would agree with you. Again, I consider this a trade-off, not necessarily a negative. with the board. It's just because you have that added stability, you know, it is, like you said, I have to put the volume somewhere, and it's a little bit thicker. This one comes in at 4.7 as the thickness, but not a deal breaker, but I think something to be mindful of.
Yeah, and a couple things that help with the stability and efficiency of this board that's a little unique to it is on the bottom side, it's fairly flat. If you look all the way up towards the midline of the board, there's a good flat section here. The rails, they keep their width, so you get a lot of stability in the rails by them not putting giant chines on here, and you get a lot of efficiency by having this big flat section here. So a couple of things they did to really make this board what it is and allow you to ride a little bit shorter, wider board, but yet still have that efficiency and stability. Good.
And I noticed the track plate here. I mean, tracks don't look super long, but I think they nail it where they put it in the position. I have no issues where I normally set mine. I think it's set in the right spot. Small cutout here in the back. Again, not huge, but just a little bit of that design here for as you get more speed to release to get off the water. So, good.
It does really well winging. We've just winged with it, I think, so far, but it would also cross over well into foil drive.
Yep.
You could prone with some of the smaller sizes. Just pair wing, I think you said. A lot of applications here.
So yeah, Tucker has used this for the para wing and said he was surprised he was able to use it because of its added stability and because it's you know, it's got a little bit more width to it, but it got up to speed pretty good despite that. So you can para wing with it, you could foil drive with it, and certainly wing with it, which we spent the most time on with the board. So obviously I really like the padding. It's got a nice padding on it. I always like the F1 padding. It's not slippery. I think they did a nice job with their combination of that. It does come with this little extra piece of padding here that some people are like, can't figure out what that's for, but that's if you have it upside down. It keeps the tip from going on the pavement. It keeps it rised up. It does come with a vent plug. You want to make sure that when you get the plug, they come up with a nice little sticker on there. Please make sure you tighten that down. It's best to tighten that down with a quarter. You know, you don't want to over tighten it with a screwdriver or anything, but you just want to hand tighten that. But yeah, I think overall this board, you know, when I first saw it, I was like, doesn't quite look like some of the midis I've ridden. I see some resemblance of why I've liked the Rockets in the past, but it's kind of stretched it out a few inches for the leaders and made it a little narrower. So I think they hit a kind of a sweet spot, I'd call a niche, in the midi range.
For sure.
That really broadens, I would say, for the customer that rides probably 80% of the time and 15 knots or over, this is money. I'd also suggest if you're riding in more powered conditions, I would size down on this board because of its stability. You know, you could size down a little bit. I would definitely, if you're kind of contemplating on your size, you know, we'd be happy to kind of walk you through that and talk through your conditions, your ability. But we'll also put up on the video what the sizes, the full range that this board comes in. Again, we've been riding the 74 liter. That's at 5.4 by 21.7. So I think F1 kind of found a niche here. It's a board that I know I like. You know, Ryan, you said you've really enjoyed it, and as well as Tucker, he's really enjoying the board as well.
Looking forward to get some more sessions on it this summer. It's a really good size for Lake Michigan here.
It is.
15 to 25 on most days. We don't see a whole lot out of that. That's worth riding. Really good blend of performance, stability, efficiency. Kind of just fits that perfect niche of like a really great all-around board.
Yeah, when you think of the midi range, you think of increased performance, and I think this board has done a good job of increasing performance on the water, but yet still giving you kind of a cush ride where you feel stable and feel confident on it. I would say right out of the gate. You know, some of you, you know, we've ridden some of the other midis, actually a lot of the other midis are a little narrower and longer, and there's a little adjustment period right out of the gate. There's less real estate, you know, for changing your feet and moving, and your feet kind of take the whole board, where this one, it kind of is a hybrid between that. I know, I love how you say chicken nugget. It's kind of that hybrid between that wider board, but it's starting to bring it in, so it has that added feel and performance when you're up on foil.
Yeah, good blend of the benefits of the chicken nugget and the benefits of the midi.
Yeah, for sure.
Smash them together.
You got the
Good all-arounder.
ultimate crossover. So yeah, as we look to at the back of this board, Ryan, we do notice that we do have a little cutout. What do you think the added benefits of that is? I know we've seen this in a few designs. KT has done that. A few other boards have experimented with the tails.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, the other day I took it out. We were both out riding in pretty light conditions. We had our typical spring thing going on where the wind's up high, not much on the water, and we were making it work. And like I said, this board's really efficient, gets going really well, but when you're really underpowered and you got a pump to get that board going, I think this cutout really helps. As that water's sliding across the back here and you're pushing down on it, it gives that water somewhere to go and not get trapped under the board as you're trying to pump and accelerate with both your wing and your board. So I think it just another added level of efficiency for those light wind conditions. It's one of the things where I think it would make it a board that isn't necessarily something that I'm going to pick to go out in 12 with, but if I did get there and it was 12, I could still make it work. Still make it happen.
Helps with that release a little bit. And in those situations too, as we're talking about the light side of a board, then you can make your decision on your wing you're choosing, maybe size up on your wing on this board in lighter conditions or the foil choice that you do. So yeah, there you have it. I think we've covered it quite well. Again, F1's always had pretty good construction. I mean, like any board, you want to take good care of it, have a bag on it, but I wouldn't say this board on a scale of durability would be above average. I've put mine to good use over the years and have had very little to no issues with cracks or dents in it. So it has a very good construction. I'd say weight-wise overall, I'd put it as kind of average. It's not overly light. But again, you got to be careful. I love my light boards, but then you got to really be careful with them. You got to keep them in the bag and you be prepared to do a little board repair. So again, this crossover board I think is a board that will do a lot, and I think it will stand the test of time for durability. So,
for sure.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No. Stoked on this board. Great all around. Great second board for people. Third board. Just about wherever you're at, this board is it's got a place in your quiver for sure.
Right on. You can buy with confidence with it for sure. So if you have any other questions, feel free to hit us up here at MACkite. Give us a call, send us an email, send us a chat. Be happy to help you get the right size in the crossover to extend the stoke on the water.